Chapter-2, The New Face. At dawn that day, the forest had shed its cloak of mystery and opened to the first rays of the sun. Drops of dew hung heavy on the blades of grass, shining like fragile diamonds. The air was clear, cool, carrying the scent of wet moss and leaves freshly bathed in the night rain. The claw woman walked slowly through the thicket, feeling her steps heavy and new. Each movement reminded her that she was no longer just a spirit, but flesh and bones. Her bare feet sank into the damp earth. And this simple sensation, it was a direct, concrete touch, not just a diaphanous passage like before. She reached the shore of a deep lake, hidden in the heart of the forest. The mirror of the water was calm, and the morning mist floated above it like a thin veil. She stopped, drawn by the call of that shine.It was the first time she would see her new face, the first time her entire magical essence was reflected in something so human. She bent down, her translucent claws touching the cold stones on the shore. Her gaze sank into the depths of the water, and there, in the liquid mirror, another being answered her. A young woman, with delicate features, with pale skin, illuminated by the sun, a beauty untouched by people, but recognized by the forest. Her hair fell long, black and shiny, but in the morning light you could see green reflections, like raw leaves. Her eyes, large and green as emerald, had a wild intensity, but now they also sparkled with human emotions. Her lips, full and red, arched in silent wonder, and her neck trembled under her rapid breathing. Is it me?" she whispered, and her voice came through clearly, without the distortions of the wind. It was strange, but wonderful. She raised her hands and touched her cheek. Her skin was soft, warm, so fragile that it scared her. She was no longer invincible as before, when her face was in a palm. Now she could be hurt, she could bleed. The claws, although they remained, seemed inappropriate on such delicate hands. She looked at herself again and discovered the beauty hidden in her form. She was no longer just a forest spirit, but a woman of a strange, almost hypnotic radiance. But at the same moment she also felt a weakness. The cold wind caressed her bare shoulders, and for the first time, her body trembled with cold. This vulnerability was unknown to her. It brought her fear, but also a strange feeling of belonging to the world that until then she had watched from afar. The lake he seemed like a confidant now. Each ripple of the water distorted her face, showing her other possible sides. When a breeze passed over the glass, the mirror blurred and her face shattered into shards of light. She felt caught between worlds, the old one, where she was invulnerable, and the new one, where beauty came with fragility. She remembered Queen Linyara. Her spell had brought this body, but also this fear. If people now saw her as one of their own, didn't that also mean she could be judged, desired, maybe even hated? A human beauty was not only a gift, but also a burden. She stood up and stepped into the water. The cold stung her feet, then her ankles, but the sensation fascinated her. Each contact was a discovery. The texture of the water, its flow, the cold shiver that rose on her skin. She let herself be submerged up to her waist, and the surface of the glass broke. The mirror no longer existed, but in the depths she still felt the call of the forest, the voice of the leaves and the earth that told her, "You are still ours, even though you wear a human face." The claw woman closed her eyes and let the water engulf her. Her body trembled, but her soul was more awake than ever. Vulnerability was not just weakness, it was also proof of life. She stood up, and clear drops slid down her skin, sparkling in the morning light. On the shore, a flock of birds watched her from the branches, as if she would have recognized the changed an old owl, who usually accompanied her on her ghostly nights, made a deep, almost solemn sound, like a blessing. The claw woman looked at herself once more in the lake. This time, she no longer saw only beauty or fear. She saw the beginning of a story. She saw a face that could bring love or hate, hope or despair. But she also saw the strength of the forest in her eyes, that green light that could not be extinguished. And she smiled. It was a smile mixed with invisible tears, a smile of discovery and promise. For the first time, she felt not only a creature of the forest, but also part of the world of people. But somewhere, deep in the water, a shadow could be seen. The lake showed her that beauty brings attraction, but also dangers. A beautiful body could tempt, it could be desired, but it could also be hunted. She knew that her path would not be one simple. However, that morning, in the mirror of the lake, the claw woman had learned something essential. Beauty and vulnerability are not mutually exclusive. Together, they are the true face of a living being. and she, for the first time, was truly alive.